Hi guys, it's Adria. Welcome back to my channel. And today I have a cup of tea because I'm embracing the cozy vibes. As you can see, my living room is decorated for Christmas. Maybe you can kind of see a little bit. I'm gonna put this down because it's way too hot to drink right now. So today I am sitting on my living room floor. I feel like I used to film on my floor pretty much exclusively. I don't think I ever sat on a couch or a chair, but now I feel like that's how I film mostly now. Today I was like, you know what? Let's just kick it old school. Let's sit on the floor. Let's chill out. I don't even have my lighting equipment. I'm doing it super old fashioned today. And I wanted to make this video. I've actually been meaning to make this video for the last 2 months now. And that is that it has now been 10 years since my hospitalization for self-harm and mental health issues. I guess this should go without saying, but this video should have a massive, content warning, if you're not in the proper frame of mind to discuss heavier topics, mental health topics. I completely understand. It is fine if you would like to go watch something else. I have a ton of other fun videos on my channel that are good for lifting spirits. So in October of 2012, I was 19 years old. I had graduated high school that year. I graduated high school, I turned 19. I didn't have anything going for me at that point. I think that was like the main focus of what led to my hospitalization. But I definitely want to just reflect on the last 10 years and reflect on all the videos I've made since then, and honestly just offer a 29-year-old's perspective on a 19-year-old's struggle. So the reason I didn't film this video sooner was because October was a really emotional month for me. It was 1 year since we had put our 2 dogs to sleep, Colt and Gracie. Maybe you saw that video I did back then. So it was just kind of a lot of heavy reflecting in the month of October, to be honest. So I feel like my God Saved My Life self-harm story video is how a lot of you originally found me and my channel. I've had a lot of people over the years say that that video really meant a lot to them and really helped them through dark times. And for that, I'm really glad that it exists. But I will say, like, in the last few years, I've kind of struggled off and on with the existence of that video. I've even found myself, like, privatizing it a few times, to be honest. Like, I would make it private, then I'd make it public again, and I'd make it unlisted in case somebody, like, had it in their favorites and wanted to watch it. Like, I really struggled with it for myself, which is kind of weird because it's like, it was me in that video. I made that video, but I guess nowadays the way I view the internet is that, you don't always have to wear every emotion on your sleeve. You don't always have to be, I guess it's like you don't always have to put everything out there and be super vulnerable all the time. And I do feel this need to sort of like preserve and protect myself and my mental health and like, hey, like what can I do to minimize how much I open up wounds and really like expose myself to not like criticism, but just being viewed and perceived, because stuff like that is really raw. Like talking about mental health in such a open, raw way is hard. And even for me now, like it's hard. And I really centered a lot of my channel around mental health and like advice and talking about my experiences with self-harm. But like now I look at that as an almost 30-year-old adult and I'm like, I feel this need to protect myself a bit more. And, when I am feeling a bit more vulnerable, to maybe not take to the internet as a venting source. In the last 10 years, I've certainly learned better coping mechanisms, I would like to think. So in October, I was talking to Brandon about it, and I was like, oh, I don't want to get to that ever again. And he was like, well, how would that happen? How would you ever get there again? And I guess the way that I could best describe that is that I kind of just fell into that place, and it wasn't something that I was really aware of was happening. It was as if I had earplugs in, right? I've been wearing a lot of earplugs lately. Brandon snores. It was like I had earplugs in and I had my eyes closed and I was just kind of like, doing my own thing, whatever, not paying attention to life going on around me. And then all of a sudden, somebody pulls the earplugs out, spins me around, and my house was burning down. That's what it felt like. It felt like it was out of nowhere. I realized, like, what is going on? Like, how did this happen? I think it's very easy in hindsight to realize how that happened. I think for anybody that hasn't been there, I think unless you're paying really close attention to yourself day by day and your patterns of behavior, your coping skills, what your day-to-day looks like, how often you're leaving your house, unless you're really paying attention, it can just sneak up on you like that. And that's the scary part. Throughout like COVID and everything, I began talking to y'all about my struggles with agoraphobia and leaving my house. And, you know, to be honest, even in more recent months, like I've had times where it's been like a week since I left the house. Even still to this day, like it's still something that I struggle with, you know, getting out and being social and, you know, forcing myself to do things that make me uncomfortable. But I can vividly remember my life as a 19-year-old and just how truly unhappy I was. I don't remember like a lot of the details of everything. That's like fuzz, but I do remember that feeling so vividly of like, my life is going nowhere. And that's a scary thought. And I think most people fresh out of high school and like entering adulthood could probably relate to that, even if you don't have issues with self-harm per se. But I think we all have that sort of, you know, entering adulthood crisis of like, what's going on? Oh, my favorite tea is green tea and ginger. It's so good. So something else I really wanted to put emphasis on for this video was, you know, I have been rewatching my videos that I've done about my self-harm story, and I've done quite a few of them, like follow-ups and things. So I've been sort of rewatching them to kind of prep for this video, and I think my main takeaway that I had was I wished I would have just allowed myself to be present in that time. And what I mean by that is when I was hospitalized, my main focus was, I don't belong here. This isn't right. I need to get out of here. I need to show these therapists and doctors that this is not for me, that I'm not right for this. And I think that that's just the complete wrong way of looking at something like that. And, you know, now looking at it, I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I waste my time like that? And, you know, this is kind of hard to even say, but I think a lot of it was just me trying to be stronger for like my mom and my Nana, who were both just like flustered by the situation. And I don't want them to feel bad that they were, you know, like flustered by it and upset by it, because anybody would be. Any parent in that situation, you know, your kid is going inpatient, you know, and is self-harming. Anybody in that scenario would be like upset. So I don't blame them for being upset, but I do wish that I hadn't let it affect me in the way it did, where it's like I can't truly do the work on myself I need to do because all I care about is putting on a brave face right now to show everybody that I'm good, like I'm okay, like it's fine, don't worry about me. But in reality, they should have been a little worried about me, and my family should have been like, you know, she's here for a reason, it's fine. But like when my mom and my Nana came to visit me, like the one full day I was there, I was only there from like, I think a Wednesday night to like Friday afternoon. So like one full day, but like 48 hours-ish. So the one day my mom and Nana came to visit me, I just remember my Nana like being like, this isn't right, she doesn't belong here, this is like, let's get her out of here, and almost like disgust with the scenario. And to me, I can think about like if I've never had a family member or loved one go into a situation like this, but I'm trying to imagine how I would handle it. I would just be placing emphasis on how much I love them and how much I'm like just rooting for them. And I think I would also really press into like do the work, because if you're here for a reason. And whether or not you truly believe you belong here or not is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. the fact is you are here and something led you to being here. So while you are here, do the mental work to better yourself. Like, just do it. I know that's all easier said than done, but I guess I wish I had had somebody saying that to me rather than, you know, like, you don't belong here. This is crap. Like, this is ridiculous. I don't think that that helped any, and it kind of bothers me a little bit. And I don't want anybody in my family to see this and like feel bad about it, because I know my mom and my nana do watch my videos occasionally, so I don't want them to see this and be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like, it's really not it is what it is. We can't go back and change what we did or said, but we can change what we do going forward. And I would definitely say, God forbid, if I should ever end up hospitalized again, I would look at it much differently now. I would look at it as like, this is an opportunity to heal and to learn and to really work on what is the root cause of what is bothering me, because I don't even think I did any of that in the psych ward back then. Like, the whole emphasis then was just, I'm strong, I can get through this, it's okay. While that's good, it's good to have a brave face on it. Ultimately, I think it's what helped me get through that scenario at the time. I don't know if I could have handled it differently at the time, being my 19-year-old self. I just don't think I could have. But with the knowledge I have now as an older adult, I can look at it and be like, you know, girl, you should have just done the work. You should have just use that time to really heal yourself. Because I remember this feeling of euphoria getting out of the hospital and being like, my life is so much better now. Like, I have everything all figured out. That's all behind me. It's good. Number one, I was on a ton of medication, so obviously I felt better. Number two, nothing is healed in 2 days. Nothing. No big long-term problem is solved and healed in 2 days. And, you know, having this like, oh, my life is better now, it's all fixed. It was just a little naive on my part. It was just a little bit of like wishful thinking, because I remember like a week or so after that all happened, once, you know, it all fizzled out and life went back to normal, which for me was like sitting in my room, sitting on my computer, watching Naruto and eating ramen every day, not leaving my house, self-injurious behavior. You know, once it returned to that, I was like, what really changed? What really changed from when I went into the psych ward to now? And I remember that hitting me. And I remember being like, oh damn, I'm really not better, and I really didn't fix everything, and everything is not great now. And I think I was just putting on this, I don't even want to say an act, I don't really have a word for it, but I was just putting on this whole vibe that like I'm good, like posting Bible verses and being like, life is good, like it's great, like look at this horrible experience and I've come out the other side. But in reality, anyone with mental health issues, I'm sure any of you watching this could relate, is that it takes time and it takes work, and it definitely takes years of maturity and reflection and constant effort to feel like you've even remotely come out the other side of it. I think back then I really wanted everybody to know that like, oh, that's all behind me. But if I'm being 100% honest, right now, you know, self-harm is something that has followed me well into adulthood, and I think it's something that may follow me for the rest of my life. And that doesn't always mean like I'm doing it, but it's something that when I am in a bad place, it's something that always comes to my mind. And I think we all have something like that. We have something that we gravitate toward that isn't always the healthiest thing in the world, and it sucks. You know, like I've heard people say that, like, this is a weird comparison, but I've heard people that have like quit smoking. They're like, oh, I haven't smoked for 20 years, but I still think about it every day. And I think that's just a harsh reality of things that have had such a chokehold on us at one point. It's probably something that, to a degree, we'll think about for the rest of our lives. You know, I don't like to believe that to be true, but you know, nowadays I'm sort of just trying to be realistic about everything. Like, I can't just pretend that never happened and that's all behind me and that's it. Like, that's just the book closed. I acknowledge now that mental illness is something that I am always going to struggle with. And I have to just be proactive about it and just constantly be aware that it's there and that I have to just work on it all the time. You know, lately I started therapy this year, which was good. I really like my therapist. Her and I are like, she's pretty much my friend at this point. Like, I really like her. I feel like I could talk to her about anything. And that's something that I am so grateful for. So, you know, to anyone out there watching this that, you know, maybe you've struggled with mental health at some point, I guess as long as you don't ever stop trying and you're aware of your problems, I think that's like a good place to start. It has been 10 years since the darkest point of my life, and I think from then it has only gotten better. And, you know, that's not even like, you know, wishful thinking and painting this false picture of what my life is like, but I can definitely say that things are just a lot better in general. I mean, like, even thinking to how, like, my living situation at 19, I just really didn't like. My mom and my sisters had moved out and I stayed with my Nana to finish high school, and then I finished high school, and, you know, I didn't really have a place at my mom's new house. It was a lot smaller, so I like didn't have anywhere to go, and I don't even know if I ever mentioned this, but then at the time one of my extended family members was living with my Nana and I, and that was a horrible situation, and like, I didn't even feel safe in my own house. It was just a very unstable, very chaotic situation in general, and I'm almost scared to even put that in, say that. But you know what, like, that's just my life. That's what it was. Ow, I just spilled hot tea on my leg. But I was even just saying to Brandon recently, like, I am so thankful that I can wake up in an apartment that is his and mine, and that I feel safe in, that I can decorate, that I can walk around freely in, and I don't have to hide myself in my room. I don't have to act like I don't exist in my own house. And, you know, I got married this year. You know, I moved across the country to Florida. I moved back to Pennsylvania. I have been with Brandon for almost 10 years now. Like, there's just so many healing aspects of my life that just everything feels like it's better now. And as far as my mental health, I think I definitely have a better grasp on it now. I think I understand myself better now. And, you know, I still have bad days. Of course I do. But I'm self-aware enough now to be like, you know, I am having an anxiety attack. That is what this is. I struggle with agoraphobia, with leaving my house. Back then, I didn't know what that was. I was just like, I don't like leaving my house. And I didn't think anything of it. But like, now I'm able to place names to things and I'm able to understand them. Even with a few years ago, figuring out that I was an emetophobe was super helpful for me in understanding myself and my behavior. So there's so many things that, like, with the growing up and the wisdom of being an adult, that just feels so much better. I think we all, let me know if you feel this, but like, don't you just wish you could have had the wisdom you have now as a child? Like, especially a teenager, young adult. Like, I wish I would just have this clarity that I have now. And I guess, you know, it's just part of growing up, but I think that I have like, it's like a sigh of relief that things are just better now. And, you know, like I said earlier, you know, I've kind of struggled with the existence of that video. Maybe you're wondering, like, Adria, do you regret making that video? I don't regret making that video. I think that video was exactly what I needed to do at that time, and I think that that was a really healing aspect of it for me, with just kind of getting it all out on the table. Because here's the thing, after I left the psych ward, I didn't really talk to my family about it. It was just kind of like, I went to the mental hospital, I came home, my family was like, welcome back, and then that was it. And, you know, we didn't have these conversations that I feel like maybe would have been more healing for me. So I think with making that video a year after it happened was really therapeutic for me, and just kind of acknowledging it and dealing with it, not being proud of it necessarily, but just owning it and being like, you know, this is my life, this is me, this, and not trying to hide it. I think I thought it was something that would always follow me and that, you know, people would always associate with me. Maybe that's true to an extent, but I think I've built so much more around my life besides that now that I have to own and be proud of. But to my 19-year-old self, girl, 19-year-old A, you know, you did it for us. You got me to here. That makes me feel like crying, but, you know, like, you got us to here. You got me to, you know, get on an airplane to meet your long distance boyfriend and move to Florida even though you were broke and terrified. You know, like, get your first job and have your first apartment and build your YouTube channel and, you know, eventually get married. And, you know, through all the ups and the downs, that 19-year-old girl got me here. And, you know, for that, I'm really proud of her. I'm proud of myself. I'm just proud that you know, I stuck it out. I wish that 19-year-old girl had had a little bit more wisdom and insight to have done the real work that needed to be done. But, you know, 29-year-old me has it, girl. We're figuring it all out. You know, I think up until I actually sat down to film this video, like, I felt a bit of regret about how I handled that situation. But I think now looking at it, it's like, I want to be kind to my younger self. And, you know, that was the best I knew what to do at the time. I didn't know how to handle that situation. But to anyone out there, if you could get anything out of this video right now, is that if you find yourself in a really low situation, whatever that is, with your physical health, your mental health, financial situation, a job you're at, like anything, is to really just focus on what truly needs to be done here and not just making it to the other side. Because I believed, oh, if I could just get to here, if I could just make it out of this, if I could just do this, I'd be good. But I wasn't worrying about what was going on here in the meantime. And I think that that's a really important thing to remember. So, I guess that's the end of this video. I think overall, it's good to just be in a place that's just infinitely better than where I was. And I think as long as you're working toward helping yourself truly internally rather than just for appearances, like I think I was doing back then, just to escape the situation I was in, I think I would have been a lot better off if I would have really focused on helping myself truly. But thank you guys for sitting here and chatting with me today. I would definitely love to know anything mental health related that's going on with you currently down in the comments, or anything you may have gotten out of this video. You know, like I said in my original video, everybody wants happiness, nobody wants pain, but you can't have a rainbow without a little rain. I will see you guys again real soon. Until then, panda hugs, love you guys, take care of yourselves. Bye.